Hello, little explorers. Snuggle in, take a deep breath, and let's begin tonight's adventure. Our story is called The Firefly Who Found His Light. Lumi was the smallest firefly in the entire meadow, and his light was just a tiny, timid spark. While the other fireflies zipped through the night, creating brilliant, flashing patterns, Lumi's little glow was barely visible, like a single, quiet star. He spent his evenings on a soft blade of grass, listening to his grandfather's whispered tales of the legendary Moon Petal. Grandfather said it was a flower that bloomed only once every year, high on the glimmering hill, and its magic could make a dream come true. The other fireflies just laughed. "The Moon Petal is a myth," they'd chirp, their bright lights winking out in a chorus of dismissal. But Lumi believed. He believed so much that one night he decided to find it. Maybe, just maybe, the moon petal's magic could make his own light shine as brightly as everyone else's. "I'm going to find the moon petal," he said to his best friend, a jittery cricket named Charlie. Charlie was always full of energy and never stood still for long. He was the kind of friend who would excitedly agree to anything, even a quest for a magical flower. "An adventure," Charlie chirped, rubbing his legs together so fast he made a sound like a tiny drum roll. "Let's go, Lumi! I'll bring the snacks!" And so, under the watchful gaze of the sliver of a moon, they set off. Their first challenge was the Whispering Woods, a place so dark that even the stars seemed to hide. The trees were tall and spindly, and their leaves rustled with what sounded like secrets. As they journeyed deeper, Lumi felt his small light tremble with fear, but Charlie just kept chirping, a cheerful, constant tune that kept the darkness at bay. Suddenly, Lumi's small light caught on something shimmering and sticky. A spider's web! A giant one, stretching between two ancient oak trees. Before they could react, Charlie, in his frantic excitement, hopped right into the middle of it. "What is this stuff?" he cried, his tiny legs completely tangled. Lumi's heart sank. He tried to pull Charlie out, but the web held fast. He knew he couldn't leave his friend. He held his little light up high, searching for a way to help. That's when he noticed it. A single thread, thinner than the others, that was already frayed near the top. He flew up, his wings whirring with determination, and began to gnaw at the weak spot. It was a slow process, but little by little the thread began to loosen. Charlie, seeing Lumi's effort, stopped struggling and instead began to help, wiggling his legs just enough to create a little space. Together, working as a team, they were finally free. They tumbled to the ground, out of breath but safe. "That was a close one," Charlie panted. "You saved me, Lumi." Lumi's light flickered with a quiet sense of pride. He had been so scared, but his light had helped him find the way. Their journey continued until they reached the Murmuring stream. The water flowed over smooth river stones, making a peaceful, rumbling sound. But it was too wide for Lumi to fly across and too fast for Charlie to jump. As they sat on the bank, a wise old snail named Sheldon inched by, his spiral shell looking like a tiny, polished mountain. "You're in a hurry," Sheldon said slowly, his eyes on stalks. "But the stream does not care for hurried things. We need to get to the glimmering hill," Charlie exclaimed, hopping impatiently. Sheldon just smiled, his slow, wrinkled smile. "Wait! Patience is the raft that carries you across a fast-flowing stream." Lumi and Charlie watched as a few puffy dandelion seeds floated by. They looked like little white boats. Lumi looked at Charlie, then at the snails, and finally at a dandelion. He grabbed a dandelion fluff that was still on the bank. They both got on it, but the raft was so small that they had to balance carefully, holding each other to make sure they didn't fall. Slowly, steadily, the dandelion fluff carried them to the other side of the stream. They learned that sometimes the slowest way is the safest way, and that patience is the greatest treasure. Finally, after what felt like 100 nights and 100 days, they arrived at the glimmering hill. The hill was bathed in moonlight, and wildflowers of every color dotted its slopes. Lumi and Charlie searched every single bush, looked under every leaf, and peered behind every rock. But there was no moon petal, not a single magical flower. Lumi's tiny light began to tremble again, but this time it was with sadness. He had come all this way, faced so many challenges, and for what? The moon petal didn't exist. He felt his dream slipping away, and with it, his hopes of ever having a bright, strong light of his own. His glow flickered, growing fainter and fainter until it was almost gone. A single tear, heavy with disappointment, rolled down his cheek and landed on a dewdrop on a nearby leaf. Charlie saw how sad his friend was. He didn't know how to make a magical flower appear, but he knew how to make a friend feel better. He forgot all about the moon petal and began to make the funniest sound he knew, a little cricket song that sounded like a happy, squeaky giggle. Lumi, despite his sorrow, couldn't help but chuckle. The sound of Charlie's song made his heart feel a little lighter. As Lumi's heart lightened, his tiny light flickered back to life, a small but steady glow. It mixed with Charlie's song and something magical happened. The dewdrop, shimmering with Lumi's light and reflecting the moonlight, began to sparkle with 100 tiny rainbows. The sound of Charlie's song seemed to echo inside the sparkling drop, creating a gentle, shimmering hum. Together, the light and the sound created a beautiful, soft glow that filled the little corner of the hill. It was the most beautiful light Lumi had ever seen. Suddenly, Lumi understood. The moon petal wasn't a physical flower at all. It was this moment. The real magic wasn't in some distant, hard-to-find flower. It was in the joy of their journey, in their teamwork, in their patience, and most of all, in their friendship. Lumi didn't need a bright light to be special. His light was unique and wonderful just the way it was. With a heart full of happiness, Lumi and Charlie made their way back to the meadow. Lumi's light, though still small, was now steady and strong. It shone with a light that had nothing to do with brightness and everything to do with being happy. When they got home, the other fireflies were amazed. Lumi told them all about his grand adventure, and for the first time, all the fireflies listened quietly, in awe of the little firefly who wasn't afraid to shine his own way. And that night, Lumi and Charlie fell asleep on their soft blade of grass, their dreams filled with the gentle glow and chirping song of their true adventure, the most magical dream of all. The story of their journey, passed from firefly to cricket, spread like a gentle breeze across the meadow. The other fireflies, who had once been so busy with their own brilliant flashes, now gathered around Lumi and Charlie, their lights dimming in reverence to hear about the moon petal and the secret of its magic. One evening, a little firefly named Lily, whose light was even more shy and faint than Lumi's had been, listened from the shadows of a fern leaf. She was too afraid to join the others. Lumi, with his newfound wisdom, noticed her. He flew over to her, his steady, happy glow a comforting warmth in the darkness. "The brightest light isn't always the best," he whispered gently. "The best light is the one that shines with happiness." Lily's tiny glow flickered. "But what if I can't find my happiness?" she asked. Lumi smiled. "Then a good friend can help you find it. And sometimes, you have to go on an adventure to find it, even if it's just a small one." He winked at Charlie, who rubbed his legs together, ready for a new journey. And so, Lumi, Charlie, and their new friend Lily set off on a new, small quest, not for a magical flower, but to find the simple joy in exploring their own meadow, together. The end. Good night, little explorer. Sleep well. We'll go on another adventure soon. Until then.